God bless everybody today. It is December 16th of 2023. I wanted to show you this article real quick. This is important. It's going to impact everything over in the Middle East. It's going to impact shipping lanes and all kinds of different things. I keep talking about how once you start shutting down these straits between all these different continents, it's really going to impact everybody out here. It's going to force fuel to move up. It's going to force hyperinflation of products. It's going to force different corporations to move freight and oil and other things, grains, around these uh, continents and not through them. And so I wanted to bring this article because I think this is extremely important. I've been talking about the Houthis and how they were affecting the Red Sea and how they've been launching missiles against pretty much everything over there. And so the Houthis are getting into this battle fairly strong, and they are affecting the Middle East at this point, to the point where global trade is at risk as shippers shun Red Sea over Houthi attack. And to give you the basic highlights, Cape transport options add 40% to voyage distance. That's huge when you're talking about shipping costs, which is going to force everything in that container or that ship or that vessel to basically go up. And Houthis are targeting tankers, containers, and cargo ships. And container rates are already rise to a 2023 high. And so this is immediately impacting the shipping industry, okay? So a number of major shipping companies have paused transiting the Middle East critical, I'm going to say this terribly, Bab al-Mandeb checkpoint for seaborne trade December 15th after repeated attacks by Yemen's Houthi militants threatened to upend global trade flows. And it's going to. And if you get other straits to close in the Middle East, this will cause all kinds of issues as they keep shutting these 6 to 8 major straits down that run through these continents. The Danish shipping company AP Moller, and I'm going to say this terrible too, Maersk, which accounts for 15% of global container freight market, suspended voyages passing through this strait until further notice. This controls 7% of the container market and also paused traffic through the Red Sea until at least December 18th after one of the ships was attacked by the Houthis. And so we're at this point where they have to see whether they can see any kind of control method over here and whether they can stop these rockets, and it um, allows these ships to transport through this place safely. But the Houthis are on a war path, and that's not going to happen, I'm pretty sure. So we've had this one ship that caught on fire in the Red Sea after it got hit by a missile on December 15th after being hit by these Houthi rebels in Yemen. It came a day after the Houthis attacked another ship on December 14th with a near miss by a cruise missile. The suspensions are the latest sign major ship charters who in recent weeks have deployed armed guards to safeguard transit through these straits, or this strait especially, and they've been actually adding armed guards in case they get boarded or different things like that. So they've been trying to counteract some of this, but they're not. It's hard to counteract missiles that are coming in. Are beginning to reconsider using this narrow strait through which 10% of global seaborne oils flow, and that's extremely important. I've heard that this could affect approximately 9 million barrels a day coming through this strait. Okay, the Houthis have threatened to attack any ship that with Israel ownership or bound for one of the country's ports. As a result, all commercial ships have come under attack, from car carriers to tankers to dry bulkers, including many with no obvious connections to Israel's trade. So that's why I keep saying they're just randomly shooting at everything over there. They want to disrupt this area. They don't want supplies to get to Israel. They don't necessarily know who they're attacking and who's connected to Israel. So they're basically just hitting everything. We just sent a number of carrier groups over there. We've also requested, I believe, some ships from Australia and other alliance coalitions to go over and help protect these ships in this area. Says the pattern I see in the last few days is more attacks on all these container line big boys like MSC, Maersk, NYK line, Hapag-Lloyd. If you scare them, then you stop hundreds of their ships. So this is a real problem. And I've been talking about this for some time. I'm not going to get into a whole lot more of this article other than I wanted to show you this extremely important map here. So, you know, this is the strait down here where the Houthis are attacking, down here in the Red Sea. So if you shut down this area through the Mediterranean Sea or the Black Sea or the Caspian Sea or any of these areas over here by Iran, different things like that, it's going to force these countries or these companies to move around, basically around continents like it shows here. It's hard to show this with that. So if they were going to start here and they would normally want to go to Singapore, they could go through here and it'd be about 8,440 nautical miles. But because they can't go through here, and this is basically being under control, and we're seeing missiles being launched into the Red Sea from here, to get to Singapore, they're actually having to go all the way around Africa into Singapore, which adds approximately 3,300 miles onto this journey, which costs companies a whole lot more money. Okay, and that's why this is so important. This is why I've been explaining to you for some time that we have to watch these straits. You have to watch this one here, you've got the one here, you've got one up here, you got one going into the Caspian Sea, you got this up here in the Black Sea, this area over here, anything down in through here, and a number of other areas. They all have to move around the continents, one way or the other, okay? So this is a real problem, and it's going to really cost companies a whole lot more money, and you're going to watch everything from grains, oil, you name it, start going up, and this will cascade as we move into 24. I'm not going to go into the whole article, but this is what I've been talking about. There's a 20-mile wide area here, so it doesn't take much to hit these ships with a missile, okay? And they don't have any warning before these missiles come on top of them and they're trying to knock them down and all this stuff. There's just no time to do anything about it. This lies between the Horn of Africa and the Gulf Peninsula, connects the Red Sea to the Gulf of Aden and the Arabian Sea. It accounts for about 8.8 million barrels of total oil flows in the first half of 23. And so that's like you talk about approximately 9 million barrels a day. That's going to impact how this oil's moved, who's going to get the oil, because another thing you have to think about is if these guys are shipping their oil to further locations, they may want to ship it to places like China and Russia instead of moving it to other places because it's closer. So there's a lot going on here in the background you have to sort of look at. They're looking at their margins. They don't necessarily care who they're selling their oil to. And as these oil reserves start to tighten up, even though we have a global slowdown, a lot of the oil is going to the war machine right now. We're going to see this dynamic change. So it's extremely important. The suspension route by 2 shipping companies so far. There may be more companies that are actually going to stop shipping through here. Add an additional 40% to the distance of this voyage. And so I think this is something that we need to be aware at. If we have a war risk, this is something extremely important. Freight forwards also increasing rates on shipments. For example, container bound with Middle East will now attach a war risk surcharge of $100 per ton, I believe. I may be wrong on that, on dry and on reefer cargo, according to a document seen on S&P Global. So it's hitting them on all kinds of different levels, and this is going to just keep raising this up. If you know, this changes, Brent will move up. I have seen some change. It went up about it was up about 1% on the week. If this still starts to really break down, you're going to watch fuels move up towards $100 a barrel again. If the whole Middle East breaks out, you could see $125, $150 or higher oil as we move forward into 24. But that's if you have a major breakout. Let's say Turkey gets in this game or whatever. You have another front with Hezbollah opening up. You have this front with the Houthis. Hamas is going to take months to deal with. And so this is not going to go away anytime soon. And as all these other straits start to have issues, they're going to just avoid the whole Middle East and that area in this grouping through this whole area. Nobody will want to ship through this area. Okay, they're all going to walk or ship around the continents, not through these areas at all if this all lights up. Because the Middle East, which is this area here, and it includes portions of the African nations, affects a large portion of prophecy. So it really matters. Okay, this is extremely important that you keep abreast of all these different things, and I've been warning about strait closures for some time in my videos, and I knew this was going to happen because it always happens when we have major wars break out. They shut these places down, no one's going to go through it, and it drives prices way up in that same breath. So I just wanted to bring this report to you because I think it's extremely important and you need to watch this. This situation is not going away anytime soon. It's just going to keep accelerating. He warned you, God warned you that you're in the birth pains and sorrows right now. I've done videos about this. You're not in tribulation yet. You're not in great tribulation. You're in the birth pains and sorrows. Once you get to a signing of a treaty, you start the 1260 days of tribulation. Remember, when Satan is thrown down and controls the false prophet and the Antichrist, he's here for a short period of time of 1260 days, which is the time of the signing of the treaty to abomination. Once you hit abomination, you go into great tribulation. So you have the birth pains and sorrows, which we're in now. Once you see the signing of the treaty, you start into tribulation. You go to abomination, you go to great tribulation, and then we move forward into the wrath phase after the seventh trumpet happens. And so it's extremely important that you understand where you are. Right now you're in the birth pains and sorrows, and this is going to accelerate into a transition into tribulation once Antichrist shows up and signs that treaty. So we got a long way to go here, folks, and that's what I keep talking about. I'm going to tell you again, I'll keep bringing this up. Today is December 16th. We have 1,386 days to the Feast of Trumpets of 2027, which is on October 2nd. In my opinion, that is when the seventh trumpet will happen. It's on a sabbatical Saturday. It's on the day of the potential east gate can be open. The Lord tells us he'll come back through the east gate and that the temple can only be opened on 2 days. a new moon, or a sabbatical Saturday. And so it's extremely important that we understand these things. But he will fulfill the fall feast when he comes back. So we need to understand that he fulfilled the spring feast when he died, was crucified, rose, and shed his blood to save us, that he will fulfill the fall feast when he comes back as he tells us he will. And God never lies to us, so I'm expecting that's exactly what he will do. So for 1,386 days, things are moving quickly out here, and I wanted to give you this report on how these straits are going to affect the Middle East as we move forward. God bless. Have a great night and be safe out there. Get your oil in your lamp and get ready, because this ride is just starting. Have a great night.